Hello there everybody. I wasn't planning on making a video when I woke up at 4 o'clock this morning, but while I was at work I was browsing around on Twitter, as you tend to do when you're on a break and you've got nothing better to do, and I stumbled across this by Brad R. Torgerson, and I've kind of felt I needed to do something and give it a proper response, because unfortunately the character response of Twitter when you don't have premium, not exactly great. So, the Space Marines are cultist child draftees forced to endure a Frankenstein-esque series of surgeries and engineered organ implants until they are towering superhuman immortals whose deepest desire is to die in battle for the decaying hulk of their cyber-psychic corpse emperor. While the Mechanicus are cultists too, just a slightly different cult that pretends to be the main cult, but not really, and whose ultimate religious goal is to endure Borg-like transformation into transhuman body horror freaks of omniscient machinery. Are humanity the baddies? No. That's the short answer. The long answer takes a little bit more work on it, but if I just go into here, because there's a little bit extra here from Brad. Here we go. One stat hoopty. Forgive my 40k ignoramitude, but are they regular humies? What do they think of all this? Do they do anything about what they think of it? And Brad's response is, I never played the game, only loosely know the lore. Now, never playing the game is not a shade against him. I mean, I've not played since 7th. So far as I can tell, normal humans live packed shoulder to shoulder on hive worlds where they labour endlessly in the factories of the Imperium. The only step up is to join the Astra Militarum, where they'll be indoctrinated to fight and die by the billions in the Emperor's name, against an eternity of hostile aliens all bent on eradicating humanity from the cosmos. No. Some live in hive worlds, some live in paradise worlds, some live on agri worlds, some live on cemetery worlds, some live on holy worlds. There are a lot of different worlds in the Imperium, and hive world is only one type. Yes, it is pretty awful to live on a hive world, as you are packed in by the billions. It's like the entire population of Earth, roughly speaking, shoved into a single megastructure. Very similar, in fact, to the 2000 AD megacities, only even more so. And their life does suck. Yes, you can have 16-hour work shifts. You come out of your little hab block, you go to work, you do your work, you get gruel or nutripaste or corpse starch, go to bed, and then wake up the next day and you're back in to grind for the machine that is the Imperium of Man. However, that's not everybody. There are, as I said, a number of different worlds, and life on, for example, a feudal world is probably in some ways better than life on a hive world, as feudal worlds are more or less like feudal Europe used to be. You might well be a peasant, or you could be a knight or a baron. You'd be extremely lucky to be a planetary governor, but you know, those are there, and there is upward mobility on worlds. They are not all these sorts of hive worlds. But back to the main point though. Space Marines are cultist child draftees. No, they are not cultist child draftees. Yes, they are very young, because they are required to be very young for the so-called Frankenstein-esque surgeries and engineered organ transplants to work. but it is generally considered to be a great honour by a family to have their son, or sometimes multiple sons, selected to go through the recruitment processes of being a Space Marine. Mortality rate tends to be quite high on them, but if the child is strong and resilient enough and can get through the trials, then yes, they can go through and they can be bioengineered to be a super soldier who gives away their humanity in order to defend the greater human species as a whole. Chapters vary depending upon what one you get as to how horrible these can be. But yeah, it's generally considered a great honour. Yes, they are psycho-indoctrinated. It is part of standard Space Marine procedure to be psycho-indoctrinated in order to make sure that you are good at what you can do, which is to fight for the Imperium as a whole. On the Mechanicus side of things, they are a cult, much like the Imperium has a cult. It has the Ecclesiarchy, you see. They are the Imperial cult. And the Mechanicus is the machine cult. And the Mechanicus, they are the only guys who essentially know how machines work to a greater or lesser extent. They are the guys who make pretty much everything. Yes, Hive Worlds, you know, look at Necromunda, you got Vansar, they are a big weapons manufacturer. But on the whole, for the Imperium, it is the Mechanicus that make everything. And they, unfortunately, treat technology like a religion. And they will go through cybernetic augmentation. Borg-like transformation, blah, 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 blah. Well, if you want to be very basic about it, I suppose. But again, they remove sections of their bodies to replace them with machine so they can be closer to the machine, which they regard as holy. So not quite a Borg thing, because a Borg thing is, hey, you've got technology or biology that I can use, I'm going to take it from you. Different thing. Are humanity the baddies? From a certain point of view, you can say yes. However, they should be judged on the enemies they face. And as other people have put down in here, it's very much a needs must. If I go on to the Games Workshop web store, for example, here we have Chaos Demons and Chaos. They are considered the big foe of the Imperium. Chaos Demons, let's read here. The darkest, most twisted emotions made manifest, these immortal beasts seek to tear reality apart. Do they sound like the nice guys? I would say no. Now again, there is an argument to be made for Chaos. You could say, oh, but you know, Khorne, he supports honor and warrior cultures. Slaanesh supports the arts, so on and so forth. But they only do so because they want a feedback loop. They want you to worship them, and in return they will give you a little bit of their power, give you a little taste, and then you go a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and then a little bit more. Like with Slaanesh, let's say, you are an artist and you want to make the best work possible. You want to make a great work of art, and you pray to Slaanesh night after night after night, and you make sacrifices, and then you get a little bit of inspiration that comes through from Slaanesh, and you do the great artwork, and everybody is amazed by it, and that's that, right? No. Because eventually you will look at that and you will think, I could probably do better. But you don't have the inspiration to do better yourself because that inspiration came from Slaanesh. And so you go back to Slaanesh and you think, I'm going to pray to Slaanesh some more because Slaanesh helped me before, Slaanesh will help me again. And you pray and you make more sacrifices, and then you get the idea that maybe my tools aren't quite the right thing, and to make a better work I need better tools. And the idea pops into your head maybe that you know, next door's dog, they've got a very nice, very glossy coat. That coat could look and work pretty well as a paintbrush. So you kidnap next door's dog and you shave it and you stick all his hair into a nice new paintbrush. But then, you know, a paintbrush on its own doesn't really do much without paint. Another idea pops in your head and you think, I don't know, the basic pigments I've got, they're not really enough. And you look down at this shaved dog and you think, maybe, since I've already got the dog here, and, you know, I could do with a bit of a brighter red, I'm sure that dog can donate a little bit of blood maybe. So you kill the neighbour's dog and you mix his blood into your paint and you make an even greater work of art, which everybody's amazed at, yet next door are a bit odd because they're missing their dog. Well, next piece of art, maybe, you know, combine a couple of things together, get rid of a little bit of suspicion from next door, maybe next door get mixed into your paints. And so on and so forth. Until you are running a worldwide murder art. It's not really that good anymore, is it? Chaos Space Marines. What happens when those so-called child soldiers decide, you know, maybe working for the Imperium is not what I want to do, or they get a little voice in their head that says, you know, you are worth more than this. Renegade superhuman warriors who give themselves to the dark gods in exchange for infernal power. Infernal. Not good power. Not nice. Not healthy power. The power of demons. The power of evil gods. So that they can burn and destroy in the name of those gods, in return for more power. Not exactly nice, guys. Eldari. Now here's a one. You see, the Eldari are often considered nice and happy people. They're the friends of the Imperium. An ancient Xenos race who battle with speed and astonishing martial skill. Yes, you know, on the surface they seem fairly reasonable. However, they are also a species in decline. One that would happily see 1 billion humans die if it saves one of theirs, because they are supremacists. They are their own species supremacists. This big thing here, the Avatar of Cain, that is their war god. When they are really in trouble, they really want something done, they will sacrifice one of their own to bring an aspect of their own god into being so that it can kill. And it is very good at killing, despite, you know, what Games Workshop would have you believe, where every time they have a new special character or they want to have someone big up, they'll have them kill an Avatar of Cain, and thus making the Avatar of Cain much lesser. But still, these guys are not the friends of humanity. They would happily see humanity wiped out if it meant that they would survive. Next, the Drukhari. Cruel Xenos raiders who strike from a shadow realm to feed their sickening soul hunger. Yes, so those all nice and happy Craft World Eldar. Well, here you have the Dark Eldar, the ones who will enslave an entire system and bleed every single person in that system for their entire lives, have them live in abject terror so that they don't get eaten by Slaanesh. Screw humans, we don't care about them. You're just fodder for the arena, for our amusement. They most certainly are not good guys. The Genestealer cults. Now they kind of mix in with the Tyranids. Throw off the shackles of the Imperium and bring down the blessings of the Star Children. Yes, they are anarchists. Anarchists who are essentially mind wiped, or mind controlled really, by the Gestalt consciousness of a localized hive mind. There is the Genestealer Patriarch, the one who started it all. He controls everybody's minds essentially, and waits for the perfect moment when a Tyranid hive fleet is nearby to have a planetary-wide uprising and destroy everything of resistance, so that what it is their sires can just turn up, eat everything, and then leave, including them. They're not nice people. They may appear nice, they may work with you, they may do the dirty jobs that the Imperium generally don't want done. But as soon as the chance presents itself, up they rise. Rebellion time. Necrons, the Necrons. Mechanical warriors rising from a sleep of aeons to reclaim their rightful place in the galaxy. Yes, you are, as a human, naught but slime under their feet. They were around at the time of the dinosaurs. You are an unevolved amoeba, worthy of being stepped on and nothing more. They are not in any way good guys. They want to wipe out every single species that has sprung up since they went to sleep and reclaim what was once theirs. And with the exception of the Eldar and now technically the Orcs, although that's absolute bollocks if you ask me, every single species that has sprung up since are just filth or bugs, vermin to be exterminated. Nothing more, not worthy of a second glance. They are not good guys. Everyone's favourite, the Orcs. Unleash the War with brutal Xenos warriors who fight for the thrill of battle. Yes, because that's what they're engineered for. Battle, warfare, fighting, killing, death. That's it. That's their entire society. They would happily kill humans everywhere for the fun of it, not for any gain, just because it's what they do. If there's no humans, no Eldar, no Tau, nothing else, they'll just fight each other and just keep fighting until the end of time, because that's it. Very, very simple. Just fight, because that's what their genetics tell them to do. The Tau, an ambitious young empire that harnesses advanced technology to spread their ideals. They are mind wipers, a caste system as well. They are, on the one hand, incredibly progressive in that they will accept anybody in, more or less. The Orcs, they tried to several times and they failed, so they just went, screw it, Orcs, you just kill on sight. However, they are incredibly regressive as well, because as I say, they live in a caste system, and movement between castes is about 99% forbidden. If you joined them, yes, you might get to join the Fire caste, But that's it. That's your life now. You don't get to move. You don't get to go, oh, well, maybe I'd be better off as an Earth caste doing engineering work. Nope. You're a fire caste. That's where you live. That's where you will die. They also, as it says, they use advanced technology. Yes, they do use advanced technology. One of the most advanced technologies they've got is the mind imprint of, I believe it's Commander Puretide, one of their greatest generals that they have on memory engrams that they will implant in other commanders, supposedly to make them better at what they do, but with the tiny little side effect of sometimes causing personality issues in the person they put them into, because you have two personalities living in your head. But it's all for the greater good. So you and your suffering, you can stuff it, because the Empire knows best. Finally, the Tyranids. As mentioned with the Genocide cults, I don't give a shit. They're here to eat you. There's no good, no evil. They simply are. They are a locust swarm that travels across galaxies and consumes everything. In fact, now, actually, no. Games Workshop have actually said now that they are evil because they are vindictive, specifically towards the Blood Angels. Again, I say that is absolute bollocks, and it removes from them what made them great, that they were a massive galaxy swarming entity that just wanted to wipe everything out, eat it, turn it into more of them, and then move on. But no, there you go. So in the face of utter annihilation, complete capitulation, utter annihilation, utter annihilation, utter annihilation, in being enslaved and have your soul and sucked out for a millennia, close to utter annihilation, and utter annihilation, the Imperium are not the bad guys. They do what is needed to be done in order to ensure the species survives. There we are. That's all I wanted to say. I'm going to go now. Bye.